Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Mike with smartoptiontrading.com. It is Monday, the 19th. It is Martin Luther King Day. Happy Martin Luther King Day to celebrate. It is a holiday in the stock markets. We're all off today. I was going to do charts, but decided that seeing what's going on out there, let's do a long video instead and talk about through this and what we can look at here. So let's start off with on the economic front this week. Markets are closed today. Tuesday is pretty quiet. Wednesday, Trump speaks at Davos. We have construction spending in there as well, pending home sales. 1:12 p.m. 1 p.m. we have a 20-year bond auction. Also 10 o'clock, again, on alert for a possible Supreme Court ruling on tariffs. Thursday, GDP at 8:30. Open the room up early. PCE at 10 o'clock. Friday, composite PMI and Michigan consumer sentiment and inflation expectations. So it's a busy week from that. So on top of all this, we currently have going on here is we have some of what's hitting the market here right now. Trump has gone on his social media platform, Truth Social, and he has threatened 8 European countries with 25% tariffs if they don't let us have Greenland. Europe has reacted uh, badly, as you would imagine. China is out telling him to stop claiming that we are a threat for Greenland. So, this is all kind of playing out here over this as, everything goes on. And the one thing I will say here is that a lot of the instability and the markets are holding really well is currently coming from the current administration. It's Venezuela, it's Iran, it's the tariffs, it's the now it's Greenland, right? It's, all these little things. It's the not the investigation, the prosecute or whatever of Jerome Powell. It's all coming from here. Right now, Trump's in a very active stage, and as long as the market holds up, he's going to continue that way. So just keep that in mind and realize that if the market drops, he will go quieter. That's his MO. He does base his presidency upon the markets. So we have a busy week coming at us here, and we're looking at it. We also kick earnings into higher gear this week. What do I mean by that? Well, tomorrow on Tuesday, 3 a.m. in the morning, a bunch of the regional banks, Netflix, first the big ones to report on Tuesday night. Everybody's been looking closely at that. UAL's in there. Wednesday morning, we have J&J and Schwab, Halliburton, another big regional bank, and Ally, Citizens. Nothing really grabs my attention on Wednesday night. Thursday morning, Procter and Gamble, GE, Abbott. Big one going to be now on Thursday night is Intel. After all this run, are they actually have anything to show for it, or is this just more fluff and just being bought up? We also have Alcoa with all the metals running rampant. Schlumberger on Friday morning. So let's jump into this and let's get going here. This is the ES, and this is real time. Futures are open today, and you can see we have a sizable gap down here, and this is all because of what's going on over in Europe. And sometimes, you don't have to pay attention to the rest of the world, and sometimes you have to pay careful attention to the rest of the world. So right now, if you look what's going on over in Europe, Europe is down pretty big, and we'll have to see how that plays out. I need to pause this for a second. All right. So, what's going on in Europe, the stock markets are down over there. And that's kind of what's helping to getting followed through here in the US market. So we have the ES down here considerably today. Let's actually do this correctly. H20. All right. So we're on the current one. You can see we're all the way down to the 50-day. Qs today are trading down into the 100-day and trying to hold there. Crude. Everybody's worried about Iran this weekend. There's been nothing going on there. Remains quiet. Bonds would be a flight to safety. They're down hard. Gold, mooning new all-time highs. Silver, new all-time high, right? Bitcoin, which has been trying to hold 95, smashed right back down through it again and back here down into the 92,000 level. The VIX spiking up here into that 20 area. That's going to be the big area to watch. Above 20, we're going to have problems. But right now, we know this morning, we're well outside the Bollinger Bands. HYG was trading with the markets. Same thing with the transports holding in nicely. And the dollar here had a big down candle in a little bit of an uptrend. So where this means for us is we come into this week and the S&P 500 is going to open up down considerably here, down somewhere under the 680, area, probably into the 50-day area. We'll see how this trades. Are we entering into another period like we had last April and last year, right? So remember last year, everything was fine. Then we had the whole fear of the tariffs. We came out, we had a big move down. Are we about to see that here? Or is that fear of that being reignited? Too early to tell, right? Let's just be honest. But that is something we need to now pay attention to because European Union is upset and they're considering taking drastic measures. Um, so we'll have to see how this all kind of plays out as we go forward here. Bottom line is the market is set to open down unless we see something happen here on overnight, and we'll see how we deal with it from there. The 50-day would be a decent spot to hold. 681.82 is the level we need to close above to have a green January on the S&P 500. If we do not hold here, we'll start looking down towards that 100-day and we'll go lower. All right, so what else we've had going on is we've had the banks, and the banks have all the big banks reported, and you can see we came down off of that. We held the 50-day and we bounced and we're no man's land. And he really, other GS was great, new all-time highs. Same thing with Morgan Stanley, but the rest of them they did not like. J.P. Morgan, Bank of America, they really didn't like. Wells Fargo or Citigroup, they were okay with. Keep an eye on these because if these continue to sell off, they can bring the bank down, the market's down. Another big problem we currently have is on the S&P 500, and it is what's going on out there is the Mag 7 currently account for 34% of the S&P 500. One of the reasons we've been stuck in this choppy range is because these companies weigh this so heavily now that even though the market broadened out, we're seeing other sectors moving, and we're seeing some of the banks, we're seeing energy and stuff go. The big Mag 7 are heavily too weighted. They need to bring those back and rein them in. Whether they will or not, don't know. But if they don't do that, the market's going to continue based upon those names. Energy. If the market doesn't think we're going to attack Iran, energy will probably come back in. That said, it's holding up nicely here and it's flagged. If it takes off, ExxonMobil and Chevron are my favorites there. Devon's been good. They got hit with that purchasing with the other company. And Schlumberger and Halliburton also are names to watch, although they do report this week. XBI going quiet here in the biotech sector, although names like Lilly continue to hold strong just under the 50-day here. J&J reports this week at a new all-time high going into it. Merck's had a decent little move. We're seeing this in a lot of names where BMY, these things are holding firm. They've had a nice move off the lows. We'll see if they're going to come back for them. Go over to names like Boeing. Boeing's been on a complete tear. Look at this move off the lows. They're a couple weeks away, 248, and you say, where could it go? You got to open up your chart with a 52-week high, and you say, all right, well, where can we go from here? Well, you can see we're up into these areas now, and the next area is 267 area. So 260, then 267 area would be your next levels on that one. Overall, again, like I said, we're seeing rotation. CAT continues to hold well at a new all-time high. Metals, Alcoa reports this week, just off the highs, but it's been raging. Copper also been raging just off the highs. Just big moves in these. We're seeing basic materials move in commodities like we've never seen here. This is all going on because of what's going on in the semi sector. And what's going on in the semi sector is we have very large memory shortages. Micron, SanDisk, right? These guys all at all-time highs here. They cannot make enough memory fast enough to hit the data centers. What we're seeing now is we're seeing companies like Micron kill their consumer businesses, which is going to, by the way, making memory prices for us who buy computers go up. And so they can solely focus on the data center business with these GPUs, which use huge amounts of memory. So they're, focusing everything there because they can charge more, and that's where their profit center are. So this is causing huge problems, and also because they're making so many of them now, need more copper, need more aluminum, right? Need all these other components, these basic materials for components. While this is going on, we've seen the builders run for the builders to build SMHs to build the semis run AMAT, LRCX, right? These are all-time highs. ASML. That's what's been leading the semis. That's why the SMHs remain at this all-time high. It's been very narrow. NVIDIA's remained stuck, tried to break out last week, got beaten back down here. AMD trying to break out, trying to wake up a little bit, looks a little bit better. I really like it if we can clear, this 235 area with authority and then true 40, right? Intel has been on a tear, but coming in here, their report this week, it's had a big move up here off the lows. Again, they need to show something now. If they're good and they like what we're saying here, you can see up. Your next level to break is right here, this 51 area, and then you would start looking up into this little gap area up here that's up at 58 area. So overall, we'll keep an eye on these. As for the rest of the sector, names like Qualcomm, ARM, um, ON, which is looks okay, MRVL, for the most part, they don't want it. They don't want companies that make, the servers, Dell, SMCI, right? Nice candle there on Friday, but they just don't want them right now. Not the place to be. So what else we have when we look around there? Crypto. Crypto is still just a wasteland coin. Tried to bounce next week. Last week rejected the 50-day with crypto down. It's probably back down. Don't be surprised if we test that 225.47 area. Maybe try a little bit of a W pattern. Hood gets swept up in this. Hood looks weak. We've talked about this for months that we have a possible head and shoulders pattern that's developed with 100 being the neckline. You need to be wary of this. You need to be paying attention right now. Still love the company, love what they're doing, but that 100 area and the 200-day loom large. We're going to need to hold there. MSTR, right? BMNR, right? These names are not what they want to be in right now. They don't want to be in these leveraged names that are mostly just crypto. Just not what's working. The miners, CleanSpark, Mara, Riot with that deal with AMD had a beautiful day on Friday. We'll see if it holds. The only one that's been good is Hut because of their energy work. Speaking of energy, in the nuclear area, OKLO, right? Right? Remains overall quiet here. NNE, SMR. Why? Because these guys, no matter the news, are years away from revenue. Very risky if you're going to own these things. You want to own, consider it a very big speculative play. What about the space place? Okay, ONDS. Our room loves this one. We traded. I own it, and I'm down to 25% size. We'll see. Maybe it comes back and holds the 21 there at 1140. If not, I love it down into that 10 area where it broke out from. Rocket Lab, biggest competitor SpaceX has, new all-time highs. ACHR, Michael, not a bad move. BKSY, which I still own, doing okay. DPro, drone another drone name doing okay, right? The sector overall remains okay. Rocket Lab obviously being the clear winner there. Let's go. What else? Let's go back and let's go to tech and let's start off with Google. Google remains one of the biggest and best tech companies out there. New all-time highs last week, holding the 8-day here. As long as that holds, to be fine. It's going to gap down here. See if it holds the 50-day up there at the 310 area. That would be a great spot to hold. Amazon's been all over the place. It's generally been trying to wake up. It needs to clear that 8-day again. If the big 2-day move down here, it's going to gap down here. Don't be surprised if this one gets hit harder. We'll see if it can hold the 280 area and the 100-day. If not, the 200-day has been strong support now for the last year. Microsoft, to me, continues to look weak. A tepid little bounce here on this one last week. When you look at this one, you say, how much lower can it go? I like it down here more into that 440 area, honestly. 450 holds and then 440 area, we'll see. Meta, another one, not looking so great, trying to, broke down, trying to bounce a little bit. We'll see. It's going to gap down that 580 area, maybe just a little higher there. 580 would be a very interesting spot if it got there. Apple also broke down last week, right? Apple broke down here, moved down here, breaking down lower. This little gap needs to fill down here to 252, and then ultimately you might want to be watching around this 245 area. Ultimately, if we get some weakness here in the markets because of geopolitical uncertainty, I believe it'll be a viable dip. Who haven't we talked about? How about Tesla? Elon. This name remains strong. It has just been out of play, can't break the 21 days. So, if for some reason we bounce right back, again, that 21-day needs to be held. We'll see where it gaps down to, if it can hold this 404 area. If not, you look down here, this 382 area places to hold. Software and cloud names have not been the place to be. Palantir, this range bound ugly candle there. We'll see, watch down here into the 200-day at 155. Salesforce, big ugly week on this one. They got killed. ServiceNow also ugly week there. We're seeing some of these sell off. Crowd continues to be weak. I like this name long term. Palantir, PANW also, just not much going on in a lot of these names. It's just a very mixed market here right now. They've rotated into things, right? Procter and Gamble has been okay. Coke, safety name, holding okay. Same thing with Pepsi, holding okay. Right now, it's about commodities, gold and silver, copper, and aluminum. So I hope this helps you guys. We have a 4-day week coming up here. I'll put a link in the description if you want to join us in our live trading room. We do trade this stuff live. we'll see how we open tomorrow and we'll see how we handle it. And I think, Wednesday becomes a big focus day. Trump at Davos speaking, that takes new focus now with everything going on there. And we'll see if the Supreme Court gives us anything on tariffs. We have data with GDP and PCE, and we have earnings with names like Netflix and Intel. Catch you guys in the morning. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend.